What's going on, guys? Dave with Miracle Canine Training. I am here with Groot, our newest board and train that we just got dropped off the other day, yesterday actually, to be specific. Groot is here for kind of a whole little stem of issues. He has some aggression issues towards people. He has bitten a couple of people already up until this point. He is having some issues with other dogs. He used to go to daycare, so it's nothing serious, but he did get attacked by a dog recently, and ever since he's been very timid around them. He's had some issues with his socialization, and he's a fairly timid guy, just in general. So yesterday when we first met him, lots of reactivity at the crate, lots of reactivity just in general towards people, towards dogs. He's just a very uncomfortable. Yesterday we spent most of the day just kind of brushing up on some of his basics, trying to get some motivation out of him. He's not the most motivated dog in the world, but he has had some training prior to this, mostly reward-based foundational stuff, which is good. He has a fairly good understanding of some of his commands and stuff. So what we're going to be doing with him while he's here is we're going to be conditioning in the remote collar, obviously. We're going to be making sure that all of this obedience is proofed under higher distractions. So in those states of arousal where he's used to getting himself into trouble, we're going to be establishing the communication, the ability to tell him yes and no as we need to be able to influence his behavior properly, get rid of some of this reactivity, kind of get some of the attention off of the things that are making him so nervous, and just get him more tuned in, get him more confident, right? When we're dealing with dogs as big as this, you know, we really need to kind of psychologically get into their head a little bit more, really understand what's making them tick so that, you know, things don't start to become a battle of strength. Because in, you know, his owner's case, when he gets reactive, when he starts getting himself fired up, whether it's on the walk or when people are coming over, they can't control him because it's too much about the physical. It's too much about, can I physically manipulate this dog and hold them back and things like that. When you're dealing with dogs like this, it's got to be a lot more mental. They need to really understand that we are more of kind of the alpha figure here. We are more in a position to be able to communicate with them in the way we need to. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be introducing the e-collar to him. Like I said, we've done some foundational stuff. His food drive's not super hot, so it may be you know, maybe a relatively slow session with him, but we're going to start to introduce that the e-collar means getting on the bed, right? We've posted some videos about this before. Basically, the idea here is I want him to understand when he feels pressure on this, that the bed is the off switch, right? So the bed is typically one of the first things I'll condition in with the e-collar. If it were nicer out, we would probably be doing some stuff out on the walk with him, or you could do some recall related things, but it's pouring out right now, so we're going to be utilizing the bed for this. All right, so basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be conditioning in that the cue predicts the e-collar sensation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk him up to the bed here, and you can see even stuff like this, like growling at the mirrors at himself and stuff. Like, he's a very uncomfortable dog, and we're just needing to get that attention a little bit more on us here, right? So I'm actually going to do our first repetition over on this side. I'm going to walk him over. I'm going to tell him bed. If he doesn't get on, I'm going to press and hold the button here. I'm going to kind of steer him in this direction and then release it when he gets all four paws on. Good. I'll try to reward for that as long as he takes food. Then I'll take him over to this side. Okay. Same deal. Bed. Telling him bed, giving him a second. He's obviously a little distracted. Then I'll engage the e-collar. And then release it. Good. Once he gets all four paws on, I'm releasing that button, then I'm marking and rewarding. So essentially the bed is the off switch for this right now. Okay? Bed. Good. Okay. Bed. Good. Hey, Groot. Good. Okay. Now usually the first couple of sessions, bed, that we do with the dogs, especially with the e-collar conditioning, good. And especially when we're this soon into the program, we're not being super hard on them. We're just kind of being consistent and establishing this communication. So right now he's obviously a little distracted, right? Stepping off, trying to sniff things, stuff like that. But the goal here isn't that this looks perfect. The goal is that we're starting to establish the communication in a way that he understands, right? Okay, so if I spend enough time here establishing both yes and no, bed. So in this case, if he doesn't do it, establishing the communication of that e-collar sensation means to get on, good, and then establishing the yes of this marker predicts food coming, I can start to utilize that later on in a more motivating way. So if he's more distracted, I can increase my levels. I can give a correction for non-compliance and have him understand what that pressure means. And then I could also use that yes, that good, to start to shape behaviors a little bit more. Okay, the bed right now is really just facilitating bed, me being able to create that communication early on in the training program. Good. And by having boundaries, both positive and negative here right now, I'm able to start to leverage a little bit of attention. Okay. Bed. Good. Okay. Bed. All right, so my next step here is I'm going to start to add some stability into this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take him over here. I'll tell him bed. Good. Get him into position. I'll reward for that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the leash. I'm going to walk away. And if he steps off at this point, I'm going to re-engage the e-collar. I'm going to go help him back onto the bed, and I'm going to release the button once all 4 paws get on. So again, we're utilizing the negative reinforcement here of the e-collar pressure to teach him that that is the off switch. At this point, once I've said bed, essentially floor is lava. And if he steps off, he's going to start feeling that kind of annoying low-level e-collar pressure here until he gets back into position. He's doing a good job of staying there, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to pick up the leash. Good. And then I'll reward again for that. Okay. And then I'll repeat that process. Bed. Good. So marking, rewarding. Dropping the leash. Walking away. And already having a clear enough understanding of things here where he even dropped that piece of kibble, did not get up to go for it because he's understanding that this cue means that he needs to stay in this position. Good. Okay. So let him get that there. Bed. Good. Good. Okay. Bed. Good. Good. Okay. Alrighty, so next step here, since this dog has had a decent amount of foundational training up until this point, he knows a lot of his basic commands, I can cruise through the process of introducing things a little bit more quickly here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a slightly longer leash to this, and I'm going to start shaping the recall off of this bed as well right now. So I'll take this leash here, I'll attach it to the end of the leash he's currently on so that we have a little bit more distance. I'm going to take him to the bed. Good. Get him on, mark and reward. And then what I want to do is I want to start shaping, if he steps off, again, e-collar pressure's on, helping him back on, releasing that button. So what I want to do is I want to start shaping that recall, and I want to start shaping him understanding that the come command means to come all the way to me. So I'm going to walk to the end of this leash here. I'm going to tell him, come. From there, I'll use the leash to help him towards me. I'm going to get him all the way to me here. Once he's stable next to me, good. I'll mark and reward for that. Now this is positioning me to get repetitions in of working on the bed still, as well as starting to shape another command off of this. Okay, you'll see that most of our training process, bed, and most of the things that we do with the dogs while they're here, it all builds on itself. Good, so we essentially have somewhat of an order of operations of things that we'll work on. And as the dog progresses through that, we can move on to the next step, we can move on to the next step until we get essentially what you guys are used to seeing out of the dogs. So this is starting to shape coming to me so that I could then add in another bed into it, so that I could add in a downstay into it, so that I could start shaping the follow me command that we typically will work on with dogs. Come! So giving that come command, helping him to me, making sure he's stable. Good. Marking and rewarding. And then back to the bed. Okay? Bed. Good. Come. There you go, buddy. Let me get him all the way in using that leash. Good. Marking or rewarding. Okay, now in our next sessions that we'll do with him, we'll start layering in bed, e-collar pressure into this recall, just like we were just doing with the bed. Good. I typically will only add in one command at a time with the e-collar though as I'm introducing it, so we'll wait until, though technically you'd probably do fine with it right now, we'll wait until the next session until we do that with him. Come. Nice. Come here. Good. And you can see already from the beginning of this video, the beginning of this training session until now, I'm getting a lot more attention here. Okay, and like I said, I had done a lot of food training with him yesterday, bed, and got him relatively motivated and good. Worked on some of his basics and stuff like that, but because we're adding in that secondary means of communication here, we're adding in that negative reinforcement and those boundaries from the e-collar here, we're starting to leverage even more attention because in addition to there being something in it for him, that being the rewards, there's also something in it for him if he doesn't comply, right? There's a rule and there's something that tells him, hey, I need you to keep paying attention right now. And that's one of the beauties of the e-collar, especially when we get a dog like this, as you can see, it's a fairly non-confrontational process, but because it's influencing his behavior in multiple different ways, we could really expedite the process and kind of kickstart this relationship a little bit more because he's learning there's many reasons why he should pay attention to me. Groot, come. Good boy. Good. Now again, this dog has had some training before. He's never had e-collar training though before. Okay, so this is his very first session ever being on a remote collar. Bed. Good. And then from here, I could begin generalizing this to the second bed, right? So I can call him Groot, come. Good. And get him all the way to me. Good. And then instead of taking him back to this bed, okay, I could walk him over to this one. Bed. And if he doesn't do it, same deal, I could use that e-collar pressure that I'm establishing, releasing it. Good. To help communicate that boundary here as well. Then I could do the same deal going back the other way. Groot, come. Good job. Good. Okay. Bed. Same deal, given that command. Good. Groot, come. Good boy. Come on. Good. And I'll do one last repetition here. Okay. Bed. Give him a second, see if he does any better this time. Just kind of checking it out. We'll see if he takes a step on. If not, again, I'll use e-collar pressure. I'll help him on. Come on. And I'll release that button when all 4 paws are on. If he steps back off, I'll engage that e-collar again. Come on. Good. Hey, come on. Again, a lot of this is he's a little distracted here. Like we talked about, we're just establishing this communication right now so that I can increase that level as I need to. Groot, come. Good. Okay. Bed. Good. Groot, come. Good boy. Good. Excellent. Okay. All right, so that's kind of an expedited first session, what something like this would look like with a dog like this. Introducing the remote collar into basic commands, kind of taking some things that he already knows, and just adding some extra means of communication into the mix to start to get him comfortable with us. Like I said, we have some video of kind of some of his behavior from yesterday, things like that, where he was a lot more uncomfortable. So we're trying to take this process nice and slow, but at the same time, continuously holding him to a little bit higher of a standard each time. So that we're moving him in the right direction, obviously. We'll keep you guys posted on the process with him as he kind of opens up, comes out of his shell. I think the next couple of days are going to be really big for him, and I anticipate this guy progressing through the program pretty well, actually, seeing as where his attention is at and how he's responding to the training already. So we'll keep you guys posted on that process, as well as our first socialization sessions that we do with other dogs with him, and we'll kind of go from there.